Good morning, sports diehards. Welcome to the 18th episode of the Living Room podcast. I'm your host, Steve Edskowitz, aka Speakeasy Steve. I don't know what we're going to talk about today. Oh, wait, that's right. NFL draft happens this week. We have mock drafts. We're going to share our picks with you. Why this player at this position? We're going to try to predict who's going to trade up, who is going to trade down. The Padres were just sold to owners of the Chelsea Football Club. If we have time, we'll get into that. Jacoby Brissett wants to get paid as a starter, and we have a new record average annual value high for a defensive player or a non-quarterback, as some may say. Will Anderson, 3 years, $150 million from the Houston Texans, giving him $50 million a season. And there are guys out there like Dexter Lawrence, who, oh, by the way, just got traded from the Giants to the Bengals, who are going to be looking forward to a payday similar to what Will Anderson just got. A lot to get into, but before we get into it, allow me to introduce. We have one panelist on so far, expecting another one any time now, but a diehard sports radio long timer. We call him the Batman because every time he states his opinion, he's swinging for the fences. He's funny. He's insightful. He's one of my dearest friends, and he's been part of the Dire Sports Dire Sports Radio family for a while. Welcome back to the prob, Mr. Jack Angelo. Jack, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Steve. How are you? Another an interesting past 24 hours in the New York sports world. I can certainly say that.
Yeah, a lot going on in New York sports. The Yankees are beating up on the American League Central Kansas City Royals at this point. I wish the Yankees could just play American League Central teams every single day of the
Yeah,
season. We could go undefeated for a whole season if we could do that.
potentially.
Uh, but so far they're 0-3 in division, which
Yes.
is not good. But obviously we'll get into
Well,
that
we have
later
the Red
on.
Sox this
The
week.
Mets are on a 10-game losing streak, and the Jets and the Giants are preparing for the draft. The Jets with a couple of picks. Well, guess what? The New York Giants have a couple of picks.
Yep.
Now they trade to number 10 with Cincinnati. They sent Dexter Lawrence, a man who's had 108 quarterback pressures over the past 3 seasons, more than anybody, three-time All-Pro. He is a Cincinnati Bengal. And for that, the Giants get the 10th pick. So they have the fifth pick and the 10th pick coming up in the NFL draft that will begin this Thursday. First, I want to ask you, Jack, because you are a New York Giants fan, react to the Dexter Lawrence trade. Obviously, I know we've been talking about it on our thread that this is something that's been anticipated because Dexter Lawrence has been asking out of the New York Giants because he can't seem to get the contract that he wants. So he said, "Get me out." They did it. What's your reaction to all of it?
Well, Dexter Lawrence just got a contract extension before the 2024 season.
Mhm.
Um, when he got it, he was a top two or three paid defensive tackle in the league, as he should have been at that point in time. Um, the guaranteed money has run out because, like most contracts, they're front loaded. He was still set to make 20 something million this year, but he demanded a trade. He his agent Joel Siegel, who's kind of a buffoon, um, they I think tried to make a power move to get him like $30 million a year, coming off an injury at the end of 2024, a very lackluster, out of shape, unmotivated, non-productive 2025 season. Now is not the good time to be asking for a raise. Joe Shane, I guess, tried. After that, John Harbaugh and Donna Ponte tried. They still could never get it to where Dexter wanted to stay. Obviously, you'd like to keep a talent like that, even though he might be on he might be on the downslide. Who knows? After last year, he had zero point 0.5 sacks. Um, you'd certainly want to keep him if you could, but once it was clear he just wanted out and wasn't coming back, unless they paid him a ridiculous amount of money, and the Giants have too many holes to fill to be throwing that kind of money at a nose tackle who underperformed. And quite frankly, I am stunned they got a top 10 pick for him. I thought if they were going to trade him, they'd get kind of a back end of the first round pick for him, like a Kansas City Chiefs with the 29th pick or 30th pick or wherever their second pick is. I did not think we would get the number 10 pick in the draft for him. So, as far as I'm concerned, the Giants hit it out of the park with that. If you believe a lot of the experts, there's probably between 15 and 18 impact players in this year's draft that are definite impact players. Not saying that you can't have other impact players, but blue chippers, if you will. And the Giants now get to choose
Yeah.
two of them. So win-win for the Giants. And John Harbaugh said it first thing when he first took over the Giants. If you don't want to be here, you're gone. He's not playing around. You don't become John Harbaugh. You don't build his resume by tolerating the noise. So it was either pay Dexter Lawrence a ridiculous amount of money, over $30 million a year, and maybe 2 years ago he might have been worth that, or keep him around, have him fake a hamstring injury so he still gets paid and doesn't play, but that could fracture a locker room, or trade him. They opted to trade him, and they got a haul for him, the number 10 pick. I couldn't be happier with it.
So talk about this from the Bengals side of things. What kind of player are they getting in Sexy Dexy, as he likes to call himself? And do you think it's a good move for them on that side of the ledger, especially when you consider that Trey Hendrickson just left? So bringing in a guy like Dexter Lawrence could, even though he doesn't play the same position, talk about what the Bengals are getting in Dexter Lawrence, and if you think it was a good move by them to give up the number 10 pick for Sexy Dexy.
The Bengals, as we all know, their offense health, assuming, is fine. Their offense
More than fine.
does,
Yeah, it's one of the best offenses.
yes,
It's a top
their
five
offense
offense in the
is
league when
borderline
they're firing on all
prolific when
cylinders.
they're
Yeah,
healthy and Burrow's upright and the whole nine. Their
sure.
defense stinks. Their defense has stunk for years.
Yeah.
If Dexter Lawrence returns to his 2023 form, the Cincinnati Bengals probably got the most dominant nose tackle in the National Football League, because that's what Dexter Lawrence has been, um, for the past several years, barring last year. He could really be a difference maker. I've seen him take all pro guards like Quentin Nelson of the Indianapolis Colts and put him in the quarterback's lap. I mean, we're not talking about backup players. I've seen him take all pro
Yeah.
guards and centers
Yeah.
and
Nelson.
put
Nelson might be
and
the best interior offensive lineman in the
right,
league, actually. At his best, you could make that case.
so
Yeah.
if he returns to that form, they got themselves a hell of a player. If he doesn't, well, because I think they just re-upped his contract. I don't know what the contract details are, but I'm hearing there's an extension out there for him, in which I'm guessing he'll probably sign. He could, if he returns to even 80 to 90% of what he was, they have themselves a real leader on the defense. He's a brand name. He's somebody that the entire defense will listen to, because he's got the gravitas, and he's he's got the resume to command that. So look, I wish no ill will towards Dexter Lawrence. He was a very good Giant. Unfortunate it had to come to an end this way, but it did, and this is a business, and he wanted out. So if he returns to somewhat of what he was, Cincinnati's got themselves a hell of a nose tackle to lead that defense. And I
Well,
don't know if
I
they could have
think,
gotten as good of a player
yeah,
at 10 as a 90% Dexter Lawrence.
I think they're getting a motivated Dexter Lawrence. He wants a payday. He wants the respect. He wants the recognition. And he could literally spearhead the dramatic improvement of a Cincinnati Bengals defense that desperately needs it, to say
Yep,
the least. So I think a motivated Dexter Lawrence who's healthy. He wanted out of New York. They gave it to him. Now, it's up to him to go into Cincinnati to take advantage of the opportunity that he asked
yep,
for and has to play for another team, get a big
yep,
payday,
absolutely.
and become the
Well,
sexy Dexy that he was a couple of
let
years
me
ago
ask
before
you.
the
I mean,
tailspin.
I'm an unabashed Giants fan, so I'm partial. You, on the other hand, are a San Francisco 49ers fan, and you are completely, I wouldn't say oblivious, but numb to this whole situation because it doesn't affect you emotionally. What are your thoughts on this trade?
I think if you have, I subscribe to the Jerry West, the old executive of the Lakers. May he rest in peace. It's got a documentary coming out on Netflix or Amazon Prime, by the way. I'm looking forward to watching
There you go.
about his legacy as a player and a general manager, but that's neither here nor there. But I think to Jerry West, when he became the unexpected general manager of the Lakers after being a coach for about 5 minutes. One of his philosophy was, if you don't want to play here, let me know and I will make arrangements to get you out of here. The minute Dexter Lawrence made that request, Joe Shane, John Harbaugh, Donna Ponte, the entire management team of the Giants made the right move. You can't have a guy, and I know football teams how they are about distractions, especially when you play in the New York market. Whole lot of distractions, tough media, tough fans. If you have a player that doesn't want to be there, you want to get him out of there. And they did that, and it was the right move to make for the Giants. Now, mind you, you're taking a risk by taking the number 10 pick, trying to
Yep.
find a player that's going to have an impact. I think the Giants might go defense with that pick, along with defense at number 5. We'll talk about that in a moment as far as our mock draft
Picks. Yep.
when we get into that. But from the
Yep.
Giants' perspective, if a player doesn't want to play there anymore, you do what Jerry West would do. You trade him somewhere else. You get him out of there. You have faith in your process. You got put good people inside your building that can figure it out. You found Dexter Lawrence. You can find another player. Dexter Lawrence isn't the first grade interior lineman. He won't be the last.
Yep.
And you have good people inside. Therefore, for the Giants' point of view, I like the fact that they recognize the fact that if a player doesn't want to be there, you don't try to talk him into staying. You get him out of there. You get good value for him, and they did. They got the number 10 pick.
Yeah.
So I think
Yep.
it's a good job overall by the Giants. For the Bengals, um, obviously they need it. This is a trade where maybe both teams can win. We often hear, especially in baseball, who won the trade? Who won the trade? I think both teams can win the trade here. I really do. I think it
Yep.
makes sense for both teams. The Bengals need an impact defensive player who's established, as Dexter Lawrence is. He's going to be motivated, and that's only going to work to the benefit of the Cincinnati Bengals and to Dexter Lawrence. I think it's a trade ultimately where both teams can win if Dexter Lawrence is the player that he was a couple of seasons ago, and if the Giants ultimately make a pick at number 10 that's going to have a positive impact on their team.
Yep. Well, they're very thin at defensive tackle right now, and I
Right.
think they might, from the cap space cleared out, I would expect at least one or maybe two signings. Maybe names to keep an eye on are DJ Reader
Mm-hmm.
at defensive tackle,
Sure.
and a blast from the past, but I think he's still effective, and I think he's played for John Harbaugh before. Calais Campbell, I think would be a nice
Ooh.
addition over there. Bring
Is
both
he
of them
still
in.
playing,
Yeah,
actually? Did he?
he's still a free agent. Yes.
Wow. I
Um,
actually would
I,
bring him in. I
I
actually
would
on a
definitely
on
bring
a
Calais
young
Campbell in.
Giants defense that's up and coming. Bring a Calais Campbell. Not only is he going
Yeah,
to be good on the field, he's going to be great in the locker room too. I
yep,
definitely like that.
absolutely. I think
Yeah.
you're going. I think you're definitely. Now, I don't know if they're going to wait until after June 1st because of the compensation thing for,
Yeah,
for next year.
that's probably
So,
true. That's about the time AJ Brown's
so
probably no longer be a Philadelphia Eagle, we figure.
right, he might go to Diana Rossini's Patriots.
We'll
Anywho,
get into that later
I
on, by
do
the
think they're
way.
going to win. I do think because the interior defensive line in this draft is not great. They do have
No,
some good players,
yeah.
but
Not a deep
we'll see.
draft there, but it's a
You
deep
know,
draft for edges. It's a deep draft for cornerbacks, not quarterbacks, cornerbacks. It's a deep
yep,
draft for wide receivers.
yep. So. We'll see. So I think the Giants could not have done any better than they did in terms of the return for Dexter Lawrence. And I
Yeah.
know I was reading a couple of people on X last night that said they talked to Ian O'Connor, for starters, said he was talking to coaches around the league, and coaches were floored that the Giants got the number 10 pick for Dexter Lawrence. Floored.
Hmm.
Yep. So
Well, good job. Actually, let me ask you this. Along the lines that, you talked about the power structure of the Giants.
yep,
You got John Harbaugh, who's got, authority in everything, it would seem.
yep,
Donna Ponte, his right-hand person.
yep.
And then you have Joe Shane. Does this type of a move, especially if they get the pick right, possibly salvage Joe Shane's job with John Harbaugh's Giants?
I think it all depends on how Joe Shane assimilates into the John Harbaugh structure. John
Hmm.
Harbaugh does not answer to Joe Shane. John Harbaugh answers to management.
Right,
Donna Ponte does not answer to Joe Shane. She answers to John Harbaugh.
right.
So ownership aside, this is John Harbaugh's team. Yes, Joe Shane is still the general manager.
Hmm.
I think Joe Shane has made some very, very bad moves, and the Saquon thing I think was handled poorly. Signing. Daniel Jones handled poorly. I don't blame him for this. And a lot of people give Joe Shane hell for his first draft, where he got Kayvon Thibodeau, who has been a he's a good player. I don't know if he's lived up to the number five hype overall, and Evan Neal at number seven. Now, Evan Neal's been a complete bust, but coming out of Alabama when they drafted Evan Neal, everyone, all the media experts, all the teams thought it was a great pick to get Thibodeau and Evan Neal. Thibodeau hasn't quite lived up to it, and Evan Neal's been an absolute bust. It happens. Just ask Jamarcus Russell, just ask Ryan Leaf. We can go on and on and on about top
Well,
picks
I
that
don't know
didn't
if you could
pan
blame
out.
that on Joe Shane. I mean, ultimately,
Everybody would have made that pick.
Evan Neal. I'm not sure he was fully committed to. I think he had a lot of talent, but there was just something about him that seemed to miss to me. Is
Yeah.
that fair to say?
It is, and but every team, in the draft almost would have done what the Giants did. They needed a right tackle at the
Right.
time. They had Andrew Thomas.
Yeah.
That was the move to make. So I don't
Sure.
blame you. Sometimes players just miss,
Right.
but you can't run away from your record. Joe Shane's record as general manager is abysmal with the Giants. So I think Joe Shane will do everything in his power to assimilate into the power structure that now is with the New York Giants. I think there's a 50-50 shot that Joe Shane is no longer the general manager after this draft. Um, that all depends on John Harbaugh. If John Harbaugh wants him gone, Joe Shane will be gone.
All right. Well, let me ask you this then. If Joe Shane gets ousted as a general manager after the draft, say that happens,
Yep.
you have John Harbaugh that steps into that role pretty much, right? As
In
a
a
Gi-
def- Go
as a
ahead.
Giants fan, do you worry that maybe he's biting off possibly more than he can chew doing all that?
No. And I'll tell you why.
Okay.
I think there will be a new general manager.
Uh-huh.
I don't think he will take the general manager's position,
Okay.
nor does he want it. I think it will be a similar power structure that he had with Ozzie Newsome and Eric DeCosta in Baltimore.
Hmm.
If I'm not mistaken, John Harbaugh did not answer to Ozzie Newsome and he definitely didn't answer to Eric DeCosta. He answered to ownership. Um, so I believe if Shane is out, an assistant GM from somewhere will be brought in by Harbaugh.
Hmm.
Um, I know he's friendly, and I forget the man's name, with the assistant general manager of the Los Angeles Chargers. That's tight with the Harbaugh family. In fact, he was rumored before the move was made. He was rumored to be the next GM of the Miami Dolphins to try to lure Harbaugh to Miami when Harbaugh was courting teams, so to speak. So I do think that there will be a new general manager if Shane is let go. But we'll see how this draft works. And Joe Shane is running the draft. John Harbaugh does have final say. So we'll see how the structure works.
Well, the assistant general manager, I just looked it up, the Chargers is Chad Alexander.
That's him.
And so that makes a lot of sense in terms of the relationship. I do have something I want to comment on, though. You talk about in Baltimore, John Harbaugh did not report to Ozzie Newsome, did not
I don't
report to
believe he
Eric
did. I know he did
DaCosta,
not report to Eric DaCosta.
not report to Eric DaCosta. Okay. But reported to owner, in this case,
Steve Bisciotti. Yep.
Steve Bisciotti of who owns the Baltimore Ravens. Same structure with the Giants. Do you work? I'm not going to ask the question. I say to me, if you're running a football operation that has a certain sense of protocol, but also has a alignment between the owner, the front office, the head coach, the
Yep.
quarterback, the players, and all of that, all the way to the trading staff, the equipment managers, everybody. If you have coaches that are skipping steps, like I don't report to the general manager, I report to the owner, I'm not sure that's a good thing. I like an owner. And again, I'm going to use a Laker example here, Jerry Buss. Who was better at Dr. Jerry Buss than empowering people to do their job than getting out of the way? And look how successful he was with that, letting Jerry West do his job, Jerry West letting his coaches do his job, the coaches letting the players do their job, and so on and so forth. The structure of head coach, and I've only seen this in the NFL. The head coach or the head coaches, that may not report to the front office, but report to ownership, skipping the front office, to me is a misalignment. And I'm not sure that leads to success because when John Harbaugh won his only Super Bowl, if I'm not mistaken, Ozzie Newsome was the general manager.
He was.
And then Eric DeCosta comes in. He's not a bad general manager. I'm not sure he's as good as Ozzie Newsome, but I don't think he's a bad general manager. But if you have a head coach that is not reported to the front office, who then reports to ownership, to me, that's a misalignment. Is that fair to say?
It is, but you've seen it happen before. I hearken back to something Bill Parcells said when he was the head coach of the Dallas
Right.
Cowboys.
Yeah, I know
If you want
exactly.
me to cook the meal, you got to let me buy the groceries.
Well, you can
Um,
consult on the groceries, but ultimately,
you could, but this
yeah.
is not
Like
unheard
I think
of.
consultation is
Even
fair.
from that,
Yeah.
I don't know if he answers to him or not.
Yeah.
Do you think Brett Veach can fire Andy Reid, or that has to come from the Hunts?
I mean, obviously, listen, if you're
Yep,
Brett Veach, if you're obviously whoever's signing the checks has
yep,
to make that ultimate decision. I
yep.
understand that. The point is, Brett Veach should be allowed that opportunity. If he believes that Andy Reid is no longer a good head coach for the Kansas City Chiefs, he should be
True,
able to go to
but
the
that's
Hunt
just
family and say, hey, I think we need to get rid of Andy Reid. This is why. Would you agree with me on that? I think he should be given the opportunity.
I
But if you
would,
have a
but
head coach that is skipping a level, can he still have that conversation?
yeah, you're right in theory, but the Giants have done it like that forever, where the head coach was always under the general manager.
Hmm.
They have not had any success a lot at
Well,
all over
you
the
just
past
you took me
decade and
where
a
I wanted to
half.
go. Look how
With
it's been
Dave
the last ten
Gettleman and
years
then
or
Joe
so for the
Shane, and even
Giants.
before that, the way the whole Jerry
Yeah,
Reese, Tom
right,
Coughlin thing ended, and then
right.
they brought in a bunch of head coaches that just weren't cut out for the job. Whether you want to talk about
Yeah,
Ben
Ben
McAdoo or
McAdoo
Steve or Pat
or
Shermer
Pat Shermer.
or
Yeah,
Joe Judge, God help us
no
all.
joke.
Um,
Yeah.
and even Brian Dable, who I think is a
Hmm.
great offensive coordinator. I just don't think he's a head coach. Um,
Yeah.
so
Well, he's not a head coach
part of the
anymore, so you're right about
prerequisite to
that.
getting John Harbaugh to New York was John Harbaugh had to have ultimate control, and that
Yeah.
contract took a little longer to come to fruition, even after the news broke,
Hmm.
because not only did they have to um, create language in the contract for John Harbaugh, they kind of had to put language in there for Joe Shane as well,
Hmm.
because in his contract it can no longer say that he is responsible for the head coach because that's not. If you want a arguably a Hall of Fame coach like John Harbaugh, and that's a distinct possibility that he's going to the Hall of Fame when he's all said and done. Um, you got to live by his terms. And the Giants wanted a home run hire for head coach. They got it. You're not going to do much better than John Harbaugh. Um, and that's the way they structured it. So
Fair enough. Fair enough.
it'll be interesting.
We will see
If
if
the
it works. I
dynamic
just
doesn't
think this
work,
is
Joe
something to
Shane will be
watch.
out.
We will see how that works. I just think it's something to watch when you have the dynamic of the head coach
Yeah,
not
you're
reporting to the
not
front
wrong.
office, responding to ownership. The Giants having been doing this last several
Yeah,
years. Look how the last several years have been for the Giants. So
right. Well, and that's
there is
just
that
it.
to
And
consider.
Harbaugh has been in this seat before with
Hmm.
Baltimore, especially with DaCosta. I don't know the dynamic between him and Newsom
Hmm.
when Harbaugh was a younger coach. Obviously, he didn't have that kind of clout,
Right.
but definitely with DaCosta, I'm almost positive he did not answer to DaCosta.
Fair enough. Well, speaking of answers, there's a lot of questions about the NFL draft coming up, and we're going to try to
Yep,
provide some answers to who's going where. Let's go ahead and get into our mock draft here. I'm just going to go pick by pick, and we'll compare who is picking who where.
yep.
Raise your hand if you don't think Fernando Mendoza is going to the Raiders at number one.
Well, I was just going to say that. I think we can probably come to some universal consensus that Mendoza's going to the Raiders. It's the worst kept secret. They can turn the card in now, and Roger Goodell can hold a press conference today and saying Fernando Mendoza's a Raider. So there's not much
Well,
there there.
there have been some stories reported that the Raiders could trade the pick.
Smokescreen.
To which I say, and obviously this is again one of my 2 + 2 = 4. This is the lying portion of the NFL offseason.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
when I hear the word could, would, should, like with all due respect, if you're reporting, your reporting is a matter of fact, not
Yep.
a matter of if. So I don't
Yeah.
want to hear about he could be traded. I want to know, is he going to be traded? The answer is no. He's
Yeah.
going to the
The
Raiders.
answer is no, unless somebody's going to give them something stupid like
Yeah,
five first round, like a
I don't
Herschel
like these
Walker
alternative
type deal.
newspapers
You
with these
know, they'd think
clickbaits.
about it if you're offering them four first round draft picks. Maybe they'd think about it and run with Kirk Cousins for the year, but they're not doing that.
Well,
Nobody,
how about
nobody's.
Fernando? What about how about how Fernando Mendoza, Max Crosby for four first round draft picks? Do you think the Raiders would do that?
Well, I don't. Yeah,
No,
um,
that might be what it
it's.
takes.
I don't think there's much, that would move them off of pick one.
Hmm.
Um, and I think we all know who that's going to be. We all
So
do know who
Fernando
that's going to
Mendoza
be.
to the Raiders, we agree on that. Number
Yep.
two, the New York Jets. I have them drafting David Bailey after trading Quinn Williams. The best edge rusher of the draft goes to Florham Park. That's David Bailey, although Arvell Reese could also be the pick. Who do
Yep.
you have the Jets going at number? And this is assuming no trades, by the way.
Yes.
We'll
Well,
talk
assume
about
no trades
trades in a
because we
moment.
can't see that coming.
Yeah,
I don't think the Jets want to trade out of number two. That's a different story with Arizona at number three.
right.
Um, but I also agree it's David Bailey. They actually canceled their 30 visit with Bailey, which is telling. I think they already know who they're going to take.
Hmm.
If you looked at mocks about a month ago, the consensus pick was Arvell Reese out of Ohio
Yes.
State.
Yeah.
That has almost completely flipped, and almost every recent mock you look at, David Bailey is the pick. We all remember watching the college football playoff and college football last year. Texas Tech had an incredible defensive line, an incredible defensive front.
Yep.
So I think he'll be a phenomenal pick for the New York Jets.
I would agree. Arizona Cardinals at number three, assuming they could be one of the trades that trade down, but assuming they stay in number three, which I think they should, I have them taking Arvell Reese because I think
Agreed.
Arvell Reese's versatility is what the Cardinals could use going up against teams like the Seahawks, the Rams, and my 49ers in the NFC West. So that's where I like Arvell Reese going to the Cardinals. What about you?
I think it will be Arvell Reese. He split time playing off the ball and rushing the passer for the Buckeyes.
Hmm.
So you're going to get comparisons to Micah Parsons. Arvell Reese is a terrific pass rusher. He might be this year's uh, Abdul Carter, so to speak. I don't know if he's as gifted as Carter is, but I think Arizona would love to trade out, especially to get more ammo, because I really think they want Ty Simpson in their building, and I think they may trade back into the end of the first round to get him. I'd be shocked if Simpson doesn't end up in the desert. Because they do need and now they have their own drama over there because Brissett wants, starting quarterback money, this, that, and the other. Um, so get yourself a terrific edge defender with the
Right.
third overall pick because I don't think there's who's going to trade with them. Even if the Chiefs came up from
I
nine,
don't think if they're trading into the first round to get Ty Simpson, not Ty Warren, the tight end, Ty Simpson, the quarterback. He's projected to go in the second round. I think that any team picks him in the first round is going to get an F on their report card as far as their draft goes. I don't think you need to trade up into the first round to get Ty Simpson. He's a project.
you might be right, but I don't know if they want to remove the variables. What's to prevent the Jets from taking Ty Simpson with their first pick of that? I think the Jets picked before Arizona in the second round
You know what? You know what? There's nothing to prevent the Jets from doing it, but it'd be
or
such a Jets
Cleveland.
thing to do. But sooner or later, the Jets are going to have to understand that there are parts of their brain they could utilize to figure this stuff out. I mean, you've got to be smart about this ultimately, and it would
You
not
do.
be smart at all to take Ty Simpson with your first pick, not even
Yep.
your second pick in the mid first round, which they're going to have. I don't
Well,
see
this
it.
is
At
Arizona.
some point, if the Jets want to start taking stepping in the right, want to start going in the right direction, they have to exercise some intelligence and they have to learn from their past experiences.
True, but this is the New York Jets. They're
That's
not
fair.
exactly a stable franchise.
Yeah,
We don't even know if the head coach is going to be there by Thanksgiving.
yeah.
We'll see how it all works out.
So much
But
speculation about Aaron Glenn. God, why would anyone want to be a head coach of that team? It's absolutely
well, that's
insane to
just
me.
it.
But
They could fire Aaron Glenn tomorrow and throw $100 million
Fire
a
the
year at
owner.
Sean
That's what they
McDermott. And
need
I
to
don't know if he'd
do.
take the
Get Woody
job.
Johnson out of there. Roger Goodell got to the call. Like, you know what, Woody? It's not really working out with you, an owner of the Jets. We'd like someone in there that knows what they're doing because it is a New York market team. You wonder
Yeah.
if owners
Well,
sometimes evaluate the other owners as far as, you know what, this guy kind of sucks
Jet
as
fans
an
don't.
owner.
Jet
Hmm?
fans almost universally do not like Woody Johnson.
I can't say I blame him. I don't like
No,
Woody Johnson. I'm not even close to being a Jets fan.
neither am I, and I think Woody is not a good owner.
Yeah,
So
not at all. All right, so Tennessee Titans at number 4. This is where it kind of gets interesting. A lot of different ways they could go. Robert Saleh might want to go defensive line, but I think ultimately, because Cam Ward is a second-year quarterback, and we
yep.
all know that a quarterback's best friend is a good running game, I think they take Jeremiah Love because he's potentially the best player in this draft with a whole lot of upside and could make life a little bit easier for second-year quarterback Cam Ward. What you say?
We're 4 for 4 in terms of agreement. I think Jeremiah Love was going to Tennessee. He's a playmaker to go along with to complement Cam Ward to fit into Brian Dable's offense.
Hmm.
They need playmakers across the board. They need to put talent around Cam Ward to
Hmm.
maximize him. Cam Ward's going to be a very good quarterback in this league, I think. I was banging the drum for Cam Ward even when he played for Miami.
I like his
Um,
arm. I like his charisma. I
he's
think he's going to be a little bit
I
more
think
accurate. I
you
think he's got to
add. I
work on his
think you.
footwork, but he's got all the tools.
I think. I think you. Unless Tennessee throws an absolute curveball and goes Sonny Styles, the
They could
linebacker.
do that. I could see
I
Robert
think that's
Saleh,
something to
or if
keep.
a player like Arvo Reese
Robert
or
Saleh
David
is still
Bailey
the head
follow them
coach.
somehow. So, which I don't know if
Robert
it's going to
Saleh is
happen,
still
but
the head coach, and he
yeah.
might win out over Dable's offensive mind with his defensive mind and saying, "Look, I need a 10-year captain of my defense, and Sonny Styles is that guy."
Hmm.
So.
Well, that's
Um,
where that's why it's interesting. I don't think it's a slam dunk that they go with Love. You and I think they should go
yeah,
with Love, but there's a difference between sometimes there's a difference between what should happen and what does.
I'm
So we'll see.
80% on Jeremiah Love to Tennessee.
I'm
I do
90%.
think there's a 20% chance it's someone like Sonny Styles.
Yeah, it could be. We'll
Sonny
get to City
Styles.
Styles in a moment. Number 5, your
The New York
Giants,
Giants. I want you to make the pick, Steve, and tell me why you're making the pick.
Caleb Downs.
Okay, why are you doing that?
One, they need a big time player in the secondary. Caleb Downs is going to get to that. His versatility, his aggression. He's got a very high football IQ that would be invaluable to the Giants, especially in that particular division. He's dominant, he's versatile, he's smart. Like I said, of high football IQ.
Mhm.
I think he's a surefire player, a star in this league as long as he stays healthy. I really, really do. The Giants need help on the back end in a big way. And I think Caleb Downs might be the best player available in the draft for all of the things that I just mentioned. So I say Caleb Downs to the Giants at number 5. What say you?
Um, I'm torn, and I'm gonna before I give you my answer,
Hmm.
what would differentiate for you as the general manager of the New York Football Giants?
Hmm.
How are you differentiating Caleb Downs and Sonny Styles? Why are you taking Downs over Sonny Styles? Now, I know they signed Tremaine Edmonds, but we're talking about a world-class linebacker. We just talked about Sonny Styles for Tennessee potentially,
Fair enough.
you know, and he's a guy who can cover tight ends. He's a freak, and I mean that in a good way.
Right.
Why are you taking Caleb Downs over Sonny Styles as the general manager of the Giants?
It's a good question. And I agree with your premise. The reason why I'm taking Caleb Downs, even what you said
Hmm.
about Sonny Styles, it's a passing league. And I
Hmm.
think and you just traded away Dexter Lawrence, who gets more pressure on the quarterback anyone has over the last 3 seasons. Does Sonny Styles do that for you? He can captain your defense in the
No,
middle
he's
of
an
the
off-ball
field.
linebacker. He's not a pass rusher. I mean,
No,
he
he's
can
not.
blitz him, but he's an
Exactly.
off-ball linebacker. He's a
Exactly.
Mike.
Yeah, he is. Exactly. To me, in a passing league with a guy with that kind of talent, that kind of versatility, that kind of intelligence, I pick him over Sonny Styles at this particular pick, especially when you look at the quarterbacks of the division he's going to be going against. Jaden Daniels, assuming he's healthy this year. You have Jalen Hurts. over there in Philadelphia will happen in Sean Mannion's offense, with the Eagles and everything like
Yep.
that, especially if they trade AJ Brown. I
And that
feel
will
like
happen.
that Caleb Downs can have an impact in a position with what he could do based on what the league is about, which is about passing. And
Yep.
that's why I favor Caleb Down. If you pick City Styles at number five, I have no issue with that.
Yep.
None whatsoever. It's a
Yep.
justifiable pick. But to me, based on what Caleb Downs brings to the table, what the league is all about, I think Caleb Picks is the pick over City Styles at number five, just for those reasons. Is that fair to say? What do you think?
It is, and I've been pro Sonny Styles for about a month now, but I'm really
Hmm.
starting to come around to Caleb Downs, and I'm really starting to think Caleb Downs should be the pick. Now, there has been smoke out there. Let's say, I want you to rethink this. You're still the general manager of the New York Giants. Sonny Styles goes at number 4 to Tennessee. That puts Jeremiah Love in
Well,
play at number
you know what?
5.
Hold on.
Now,
I know
I'm going to
exactly
ask you
where you're
again.
going.
I'm going to ask you again. You have
Yes.
Caleb Downs and you have Jeremiah Love at
Okay,
number
no.
5. Who is
In
Steve, the
this
general manager, picking?
in this particular case, because you have the number 10 pick,
Yep.
and if you're Joe Shane and you let Saquon Barkley get away to a division rival that won the Super Bowl the season after he left, Joe Shea might be able to save his job if Jeremiah Love is available at number five. You take him and you don't look back because that reverses, potentially completely reverses what happened with Saquon Barkley. And then
Yep.
maybe, just maybe, when you get to number 10, Caleb Downs might still be available. Think about that. Think
Yeah.
about potentially drafting Jeremiah Love at number five and
Yep.
Caleb Downs at number 10. That's an A plus draft for the Giants,
Yeah.
especially for Joe Shea.
And we were just talking about, it's interesting you say that. They could potentially walk out of this draft. I asked you to pick either or. They could end up with both Caleb Downs and Sonny Styles,
Mm-hmm. They could.
on Thursday night, which would
Yeah.
be, I'll do cartwheels. I'll break my neck, but I'll
Oh, I
do
bet. Yeah.
cartwheels. But I agree.
As well you should.
The Giants have a decent running back room. Uh, Scattaboo, everybody loves him. We know what he brings, but he's coming off a gruesome ankle injury. Is he going to be full speed? Tyrone Tracy is a very good running back.
Mm-hmm.
Jeremiah Love will be elite.
Yeah. I
He puts them. Originally, I was completely against Jeremiah Love at 5. Should he be there? And I don't think he will be. I think Tennessee's going to take that away from the Giants, and that's
probably,
fine.
yeah. Yeah. That would be, it would
But
make sense
if
for them to do that.
if
But you
for
never know.
some
You
reason
never
Robert
know.
Sala's
Yeah.
inner conscience wins
It's a
out
tug of war
over,
between Salah and Daboll. Going to be two
right,
very
because
strong voices, but ultimately the head coach says, "Well, I'm the head coach. I can
right,
overrule
and
you." He
Mike
has that right.
Brogzinski, the
Yeah.
general manager there, is the one making the pick. But
Right.
if if it is Styles that goes to Tennessee, I think there's no doubt the Giants take Jeremiah Love. I think
Yeah.
no matter who's on the board, Jeremiah Love's coming to the Giants, and I
Yeah.
think I think they will run the card up to Roger
Plus,
Goodell.
plus, always
Um,
remember that in the first 10 picks of the first round or the first 10 picks of the draft, it's not so much about need or depth. It's about getting the best
Best
player
player,
available
yeah. Bad
in
teams
that
draft for need.
position. So,
When need meets value, that's when you take the player.
right.
Um, but I think if Love is still on the board, there's a very strong chance. But
Yeah.
I do agree with your assessment of Caleb Downs. He's had Ed Reed, he's had Kyle Hamilton as strong defensive leaders at the safety position in
Hmm.
Baltimore. He could get his Kyle Hamilton here with Caleb Downs. So I do think
Yeah.
if Jeremiah Love, as expected, goes at number 4 to Tennessee, I think Caleb Downs is the pick for the New York Giants at number 5.
Yeah. It could be City Styles. So, like I said, if you pick Caleb Downs or City Styles at number five, I don't have an issue with either one of those things. But then the question becomes, what do you do with number 10? We'll get to that in a moment. Number six, the Cleveland Browns.
Yep.
I have Carnell Tate, first wide receiver off the board, regardless of whether Shador Sanders or Deshaun Watson both throw passes this season. They'll benefit from Tate's presence in the Browns offense because I think he's the best wide receiver in this draft, and the Browns absolutely need help at receiver. So Carnell Tate is the pick for me. What about you?
I do like the pick, and I was going to go with Carnell Tate. Now, I'm hedging my bets with this a little bit only because he had to get
Hmm.
rechecked at the combine for a potential back problem.
Uh,
Um, Francis Mayagua, the tackle, the offensive lineman out of Miami. If they don't start him at tackle, they can bump him inside to guard. I've seen him
hmm
mocked to the Giants in some draft to move him inside to
hmm
guard because they did bring back Jermaine Illuminor for the right tackle spot. I'm going to go Mayagua. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. I'm probably not.
I think it's Maui Goa. I want to say
Well,
Maui Goa,
yeah,
Francis
we'll just
Maui
call him
Goa.
Francis. I'm going to go there from the Cleveland Browns.
Fair enough.
I think they can get a wide receiver later. But you're
Hmm.
right. They do need a wide receiver. They do need a playmaker desperately in
Yeah,
Cleveland.
that's why I think Cardinal tasted the pick, but we'll see if it's if they go offensive line. I think they're
Yep,
going offense either way. I think we could both agree on that, right? Because their defense is
I
pretty
think
good.
so. Their
Yeah,
defense is still their defense.
yeah,
Without Jim
yeah. So
Schwartz,
it's
we'll
an
see how
offensive
effective it
pick.
is. But, you know, they got a
Offensive
good
pick for the
defense.
Browns, either offensive line or a skill position player.
Yep,
We'll see.
yep.
Number
Number seven,
seven,
Washington
Commander.
Commanders. Who do you have?
Hate to bust your bubble, but I think they're going to take Sonny Styles if he's available
I
to
do
him in
too.
number seven.
I
He
do too.
can, the 32nd ranked overall defense last year in total yards, 27th in points. Sonny Styles comes in and gives your defense instant credibility, helps him improve dramatically in his first year in the
Yep.
NFL. So I like Sonny Styles to the Commanders if he's still available at number seven.
I do too. And their defense got old last year. They've made some improvements.
Yep.
I think they're looking for, Dan Quinn is a defensive guy. Um, I think Sonny Styles will be the pick for the Washington Commanders as well.
Yeah. All right.
Yep.
So we agree on that. Number eight might get interesting at number eight. New Orleans Saints, Tyler Shuck, who looks like he has a future there in
Yep.
New Orleans.
Yep.
So my pick to them is given Cam Jordan is not getting any younger, talks about him retiring. I think they bring Ruben Bain Jr. in at number eight, who's the perfect succession plan player for when Cam Jordan eventually retires. I know he's got short arms, but his motor is always running. He's extremely talented and he's extremely motivated. And I think the Saints could benefit from that. So Ruben Bain Jr. out of Miami, the pick to New Orleans at number eight. What
Um,
about you?
I'm going to go in a different direction. I'm going to give Tyler Shuck a new toy. I'm going to give him an Ohio State running mate with Chris Olave, and I'm going to put Carnell Tate to New Orleans.
Well, if
Um,
he's available at number eight, that'd be a nice pickup
You know,
at number eight.
I think, and the same could be said for the Giants. You want to build around Cam Ward. You want to build around Jackson Dart. You want to
Right.
build around Tyler Shuck, um, who from last year, the three quarterbacks, that seem to have a very bright future.
Hmm.
Um, so obviously availability and the way the board falls, everything could change. But I'm giving them another Buckeye at wide receiver at number eight to give Tyler
Good on
Shuck some
pick.
options out there in
Fair enough.
NOLA.
Could be the case if Cleveland decides not to pick him, then yeah, I could absolutely see them going with Cardinal Tate at number eight.
Yep,
Number nine, the Kansas City Chiefs, two first round picks. Can you believe
yep,
it? When
yep.
was the last time the Chiefs had two first round picks? Um,
Not in a long time, and certainly
no,
not in the top 10.
no. Definitely not. So for me, the Kansas City Chiefs go cornerback to replace the traded Trent McDuffie, and I think they pick Mansour Delani,
Agreed.
uh, who will slide right in
Best
and make the
cornerback in the
Chiefs
draft.
maybe not miss Trent McDuffie that much.
Best cornerback in the draft, and I do think now I don't know who they'd be trading up for, whether it's a wide receiver or whom. I've
Hmm.
heard Kansas City has designs on potentially moving up. They could be
Hmm.
one of those teams that jumps. I've heard the Dallas Cowboys want to jump, maybe for a guy
Hmm.
like Sonny Styles or Caleb
Yeah.
Dow.
Well, I think we
I've
have to.
those are the two big teams I've
Right.
heard want to move up.
Yeah.
And there's several teams that want to move back. Now, would they pay the Arizona Cardinals or the Tennessee Titans or whomever to move into that position? We'll see. But we can't assume trades here, so I'm going to take Delaney as well, the
Right.
number one
Well,
corner.
we'll talk about
Um,
trades in a moment as far as who might trade up to
right.
what slot and for whom with what
Yeah.
team. So we'll get
So
into that in the next segment.
So I do think
So
that, I do think that,
mhm.
no trades involved. You got to take Delaney because you need
Yeah,
to replenish your defensive backfield.
you
Need
do.
meets value with it. You
Not to
said you don't
mention
draft for
again
need.
in the
This
division, in the
this
division
is
you're playing,
you're
you've
playing in
got
the
a few
NFC
good
West.
quarterbacks over there you're
You got to
going
be able to
against.
cover people, and
Yeah,
I think Delaney does a great job out of LSU. I mean, he's pretty much playing a pro defense out there anyway.
right.
So yeah, I think Delaney's an easy pick
Hmm.
for the Kansas City Chiefs.
We'll see. They could go offensive line too, because
Yep,
Andy Reid is an offensive line kind of guy, and they need Jawan Taylor actually is no longer with the Chiefs actually, so they might have to retool the offensive line on the edges. But
yep,
we agree that Delaney is the pick. All
yes.
right, your Giants at number 10, Jack. What do you think? I got my theory, but what would you like the
Here's the
Giants to do
thing.
that pick? Offense or defense?
I think well, we went defense in with number five. I do think they will go offense at number 10.
I would agree.
I do think they
If
do
Styles is not available, if he is
if
available, they
Styles is
take
not
him,
available,
obviously.
but
Yeah,
I think, and it might be a little high, but I'm inclined to say the wide receiver out of Arizona State, Jordan Tyson. Joe Shane just had a huge dinner with him when they were out at the owners' meetings. They spent a lot of time together. Jordan Tyson has expressed interest in coming to New York to play with his buddy Scadaboo and Malik Neighbors. He's a terrific wide receiver, and if it weren't for his injury history, he might be the best wide receiver in the draft, and that's over Carnell Tate. But
hmm,
he's injury prone, which worries me a little bit, especially with Malik Neighbors coming off of an injury, and we're not sure whether Neighbors will start week one. I would love to put Tyson opposite Neighbors because then you really are cooking with gas. But the Giants right now have a huge hole at right guard. They've signed a bunch of people that are not impressive. Fayolale or whatever his name is, that was in Baltimore. He's terrible. They signed Evan Neal. Josh Azidu from North Carolina is there. They have a bunch of meh talent at right guard. I think you need to let Jackson cook. I'm going to take Vega Ione, the
hmm.
offensive guard out of Penn
Penn
State.
State, yeah.
Because if he's not there, he's a ready-made Raven as far as I'm concerned. But I'm going to give Jackson Dart uh, a real road, a real mauler like
Hmm.
Ione, and I'm probably pronouncing his name wrong too. Um,
No, I think it is. Yeah,
we'll call him
Vega. Well, he
Vega.
goes by
Yeah, Vega.
yeah, Vega Ione, but his first
So
name is.
I'm going to give
Yeah.
Jackson Dart the right guard
Hmm.
uh, for the next 10
I
years.
actually, I actually agree with you. I have Jordan Tyson going to the Giants as well. They do need help at receiver,
They do.
and even with his injury history, if he's available to the Giants at number 10, I think you have to take him on upside alone.
And
I
I
really
think the
do.
Giants will go that route. I
So,
think it's
so
going to be
Jordan
Downs and
Tyson, yeah,
if the board falls, I think it's going to be Downs and Tyson
yeah,
in the first round for the Giants. I
yeah.
wouldn't, I can't rule out the Giants trading back a few picks with this. They don't have a round three pick this year. I don't know whether they're going to trade Kayvon Thibodeau and try to get one as we get closer to the draft, or if they're going to trade one of those two picks. I can't see them trading out of five. I think they might trade out of 10. Or if someone like Kansas City wants to come up to number five to get whomever the hell they want, I wouldn't trade with
Hmm.
Dallas for obvious reasons. But
Yeah,
if Kansas City wanted to move up to five, I could see the Giants doing that to get an extra day two pick
right.
and then draft at 9 and 10, where you might be able to get Tyson and, Downs, let's say, the same thing. But yeah, when healthy, I think Jordan Tyson is probably the best wide receiver in the draft.
It could be. Number 11, Dolphins. With Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle out, the Dolphins bring in a wide receiver to work with Devin Achane, who's the only skill position player on the roster right now worth a damn. So I think they go Makai Lemon to the Dolphins to start
Agreed.
to rebuild the wide receiver room down there in
Agreed.
Miami.
I like Lemon to out of USC to make up for Jalen Waddle to give Malik Willis a toy to
Mhm.
give that offense some talent because don't forget Hafley's a defensive coach. Not that that means anything, but it gives Willis and any quarterback they may draft next year. a toy to play with. So,
Yeah.
yep,
So
that's who
McCarr
I
limited
that.
the Dolphins. We agree on that. Number 12, if the Cowboys stick in that slot, we're going to go to 15, by the way, before we get into trades, because I think after
Yeah,
15,
that's fine.
it kind of
Well,
goes
yeah, and
bland. It
anything
kind of
after
goes
that, you
bland
don't
from
know how
there.
the board
So
is going to fall. So,
we're working through the top 15, and then we can post our whole
yep,
mock draft later on somewhere. Um, so if the Cowboys stay at number 12, having have a major need at defensive back, I
yep,
think Jermon McCoy comes off the board as the second best quarterback in the
yep.
draft.
Out of
That helps
Tennessee.
the Cowboys fill a major need.
Yep. I think it can go that way, but I'm going to go with Ruben Bain out of Florida, out of Miami, Florida.
Hmm. Right.
They need to help replace, um, you know, try to replace the edge
Micah
rusher that was Micah
Parsons.
Parsons.
Yeah.
They haven't done that yet. So Ruben Bain, I think, could start to fill that role, you know.
Okay.
And their defense was terrible last year.
Well, either
So
way, the Cowboys are going defense. We
I think
agree
so
on
too.
that it's going to be, I think offensively, they're okay at this point. Have they worked it out with George Pickens as of yet? Is he on the franchise tag? Or what's going on there with George Pickens?
No, I don't think he's on the franchise tag because I think they franchised um oh, wait a minute. I think he is on the franchise tag. Yeah, you're right.
I was going to say, who else would they franchise tag but him?
Yeah. Pickens is
Seems
still
like
a
he had
Cowboy, and
last year.
I think he's on the tag.
Okay.
But
Did he sign
I
it?
do think, McCoy out of Tennessee is certainly, I think he played at Tennessee, right? Jamal McCoy.
Yes.
Because there's
Hmm.
two quarterbacks at Tennessee that are pretty good. Colton Hood also is a pretty good corner out of Tennessee. I
He'll
think he'll
probably
go
go later
later
first round. I actually
or
have him
maybe
later
early
in the
second
first round. I
round.
forget to whom, but I think they're going to have a couple of first round picks as far as that goes.
Okay.
But Jamal McCoy to me is the second
Yep.
best cornerback behind Delani in this
Yep.
draft. So that's why I think the Cowboys go with him
Yep.
if they stay at number 12. But again, we'll get into that in a moment.
Yep.
All right, the Rams at number 13. Francis Mauigoa. I have the Rams picking him if he's available because Rob Havenstein is retiring. So
Yep.
Mauigoa slides right in as an outstanding replacement for Havenstein.
An excellent pick. You can't go wrong with that pick. I think that's completely possible. I have them giving Matthew Stafford another toy. I have them going wide receiver Omar Cooper out of Indiana
Hmm.
um, to go with Puka. Number one,
Yeah.
what the hell? You live out there. What the hell's going on with Puka? Is he in rehab? Is he in a facility? What the hell's going
I
on with Puka?
no, it is he's just off the field. He's kind of
He's a
a little bit
weird
of a
guy.
wild card, if you will. Like, a woman filed a complaint against him for biting her. I guess she's withdrawn it, but it seems like Puka Nacua is a bit of a party guy, which in LA makes sense. But on the field, I mean, he's as good as anybody. He's one of
He
the
was the
best in
best
the
wide
game.
receiver
Had
in
a great
football
year
last
last year. He
year.
could have been Offensive Player of the Year if it wasn't for Jackson Smith and Jigba, but
Yep.
he might have been it might have been Puka Nacua if not for JSN winning the Offensive Player of the Year award for Seattle. But he's a bit of a wild card off the field, so that's obviously a situation to monitor going forward because right now the Rams are in a window of deciding whether they want to pay Puka Nacua that second contract, that big contract that he's looking for, parlaying that outstanding offensive performance he's had in his first two
Yep.
seasons,
And
particularly
and you
last
can
season.
use
But behaviorally, off the field, there's some questions about Puka
yeah.
Nacua right now, so we'll
I
see
just
how
think
that
that,
all plays out.
they have three tight ends for the Rams. And I think if you bring in
The
Cooper to
jumbo
play in the slot,
packages, the
I
13,
think
the
if you
11,
put
12, the
put
13.
Nakua, I
So
think if you play Cooper in the slot, you can have Nakua and Adams on the outside. I think that offense becomes more lethal. But
could
yes,
be.
you're right. They do have to address the offensive
But
line.
I think ultimately, because you have an older quarterback in Matthew Stafford, they already have a really good receiving core, and it's a deep wide receiver draft. Therefore, I think, given Havenstein retiring, I think they go offensive line to make sure that Matthew Stafford is protected, and they could therefore do Matthew Stafford things consistently that has been known to do since he came to the Rams from Detroit 4 years ago.
Yep.
So, or
So
5 years ago, I should say. So we'll see. But I think we both agree they go offense. For me, it's Marigoa. For you, it's Omar Cooper. I actually have Omar Cooper, if he's available at 16, going to the Jets, pairing with Garrett
possible,
Wilson.
possible.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we'll see if Omar Cooper is available to the Jets at 16. If he is, I think he goes to them. Number 14, the Ravens. You kind of mentioned it before with Tyler Linderbaum out. You want to give quarterback Lamar Jackson protection up the middle. Vega Ione is the pick. What about
Yep.
you?
if the Giants don't take him, I think yes, Vega Ione would be the pick. I can also see them going with Fano, the guy out of Utah.
Yep.
I could see them going. I think
Sure.
you're going to get. Um, I think you're going to get an offensive player
Hmm.
with that pick. I wouldn't rule out one of the wide receivers if Tate or Tyson were to fall. I could see that as well, giving, because really all you have at wide receiver is Zay Flowers, and they lost a lot. They lost Ricard, they lost Likely. They're going to need some playmakers of their own. They only have Henry and Flowers and Lamar, really, when you think
Yeah.
about it, in Baltimore right now.
Yeah.
And the tight end Andrews. But I could see them if one of those two wide receivers fell, I could definitely see them going to the Ravens. But I think they do need line help. I'm
You
gonna
know,
tentatively go with Fano because I already
along,
put Vega Ione to the Giants.
I'm actually going to throw a monkey wrench into this. Everything you said makes sense, especially when it comes to receiver. There's a player in this draft who plays tight end, but who's
Yep,
got a 4.39 40-yard dash time at the combine. Kenyon Sadiq. I
yep,
have him mocked to go into the Carolina Panthers at number 19 to give Bryce Young a nice little weapon down
yep.
there. But do you think, given the departure of Isaiah Likely, which I think likely was a foolish move by the Ravens, do you think maybe the Ravens go with Kenyon Sadiq at number 14 instead of offensive line and replace a guy
They
like
certainly
Isaiah Likely
could.
with a tight end who's got a lot of speed?
They certainly could. They do have Andrews, so I don't know if you're kind of.
But
I
he's not
know
getting
that
any younger.
he's not getting any younger, and a lot of teams are going into two and three tight end sets.
Sure.
Um, So I think it's a distinct possibility. You know where I'd like to see Sadiq? I don't think he'll ever get
I'd
down
love to
there. I
see him
think
in
they'd have to
Carolina
trade.
for a toe quarterback like Bryce Young. That's
No,
where I
well,
want to
yeah,
see
I
him.
mean, he would
Yeah.
make a ton of sense there to play
Yeah.
with Ted McMillan and the like. You know
Sure.
where I'd like to see Sadiq go, and he was mocked there a lot up until recently, maybe until after the combine. I
Hmm.
think Sadiq's a great fit for the 49ers.
Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah. As far as the
I don't think
succession
you're
plan for
getting him where
George
you're
Kittle, but if
drafting,
the
but if
Niners are
he,
going to draft Kenyon Sadiq, they're going to have to trade up because the Niners don't pick until number 27, if I remember correctly. If
yep,
you want Sadiq, you're going to have to trade up into,
yeah,
somewhere
the top
between
the top
15 and
15.
20 is where he's probably going to go. So would the Niners trade up? Because right now for the Niners, I have them taking Max Ianakor out of Nigeria as a succession plan for Trent Williams on the offensive line. I don't look for them to draft a receiver at number 27. I hope they don't. I hope they go offensive line with Ianakor because I think he would come in and possibly succeed Trent Williams. But if the Niners want Sadiq, I think they'd have to trade up to
Yeah,
get him.
I think he'd be great in San Francisco because
Yeah.
George Kittle's not getting any younger and he's kind of
Nope.
injury prone too lately.
Yep. I
So,
agree.
but
I love Kittle, but the Niners need a succession plan for him, no doubt about it. So we'll see.
yep. And
All
finally,
right.
at number 15, Tampa Bay, I have Akeem Mesidor out of Miami
We
going to Tampa
agree.
Bay. I think they
Great minds
need
think
I think they
alike.
need some pass rush on that team. He's going to be 25, so he's on the older end. Um, but
Who cares? I mean,
you know,
seriously, who cares about that? Like,
yeah, that's true.
guys are
But
guys are guys are. I hate this whole age thing in the NFL. I mean, seriously, guys are playing longer. You've got so much medical technology on there. You got all this information on nutrition. Why is age such a big thing in the
well,
NFL?
I
It doesn't
think
make
it
sense
go.
to me.
I think more of it has to do with the position you're playing.
Yeah,
I think
especially if you're a running back and you turn 30.
true. The more contact I mean, don't forget a DE or a defensive line is taking contact on every play,
I know.
which, the only reason I don't think it matters as much for like a wide receiver um or someone of the like because they're not getting hit on every play, but a D lineman is. And the D line so the only reason I think age plays a factor is, and I don't think it will here. I think Mesidor is an easy pick for the Bucks if he's still available.
Well, they're trying
Um,
to win right now, so he comes in with a lot of experience, a lot
yes,
of
he does.
seasoning, a lot of
Yep.
knowledge. Like I think if you're a team that's in a full rebuild, a player like Akeem Mesidor does not make sense. But Tampa's trying to win now.
Right. Right. So, You know that. Who do you have going?
I
You
have
have
Akeem Mesidor as well. I think they want Vega Ione, but I think he's going to get drafted
I think he's going to be gone.
before the unless the Bucks want to trade up. I think he gets drafted before the Bucks can make their first round pick. And since they're not going to get a guy like Reese Bailey or Bain Jr., we figure they're going to be gone by the time Tampa
Yep.
picks. The next best thing would be Akeem Mesidor.
Yeah. I think he goes. I think he goes there. Um, we'll only do the top 15.
Right. Let's get into
Let's take a
trades.
well, before we do that,
Mhm.
and let's see where San Fran is picking. Not that I
They're picking at 27.
they're picking it
And again,
now.
I
I
think
know
they're
a
going to
lot
go
has
offensive line, and the pick
I
I
know
think
a
is
lot
Max
has
Iannicor.
to do with how the board falls. At the most recent USA Today mock draft, they have Malachi Lawrence, a defensive end out of Central Florida,
Mhm.
um, going to San Fran. Given who you think might be there, who would your pick for the? Obviously, we don't know how the board is going to fall. Who would you like to see um, go to San Fran?
I want him to go offensive line. I really do. Trent Williams is not getting it. And oh, by the way, I don't know if they've worked out their differences yet as far as the contract that the extension that Trent Williams is looking for. And the Niners usually they take their time with these type of matters. So I don't know how that's going to turn
So,
out.
do you think you're looking at a guy like the offensive tackle from Arizona State, Max Ichenor, or whatever his name is?
Iannicor, yeah, I think he could slide right in at left tackle. I think he's ready. And I think he'd be the perfect succession plan. Could the Niners go with a defensive end? Yes, I know that is a position of need for the Niners,
Yep,
opposite Nick Bosa. They obviously want to get that pass rush going on the other side of the line, on the left side of the line, opposite of Nick Bosa, plays on the right side. And
yep.
hopefully Nick Bosa is healthy, by the way. That's another issue. He's had some injury issues since he was Defensive Player of the Year a couple of years ago. So hopefully he could get healthy, get right, and become the Nick Bosa he was before the injuries started happening the last couple of seasons. But I really want the Niners to go offensive line because Brock Purdy was hurt last year. And, Brock Purdy has been a much better quarterback than anyone could have anticipated, being Mr.
Right.
Irrelevant. And now he's one of the most relevant quarterbacks in the NFL, ironically enough. You
Yep.
got to do what you can to protect him. You bring in Mike Evans. You had, and Christian McCaffrey's not getting any younger either.
Who
What
was
could
his
he
college
do?
head coach?
Huh?
Who was Purdy's college head coach? Was it a
Did
guy by the name of Matt Campbell
Matt
who's
Campbell?
coaching Penn
Yeah,
State?
that's correct. Yeah, at
Okay.
Iowa
All right.
State. Yeah,
I was just checking. All
yeah.
right. All right. So
Yes.
just
Well, you know
checking.
what? This is why, given Matt Campbell how good he is as a head coach, who's going to coach your Penn State Nittany Lions,
Yes,
perhaps
he
Brock
is.
Purdy should not have been Mr. Irrelevant because alone being coached by Matt Campbell, maybe people didn't know how good Matt Campbell is as a head coach. Clearly, he's a very good head coach, and clearly Brock Purdy is a better quarterback than anyone gave him credit for when he was
Hopefully,
drafted dead last.
Penn State brought in Rocco Becht from Iowa State. They took half of
Hmm.
Iowa State with them actually to Happy
Hmm.
Valley, but hopefully Rocco Becht sees the same kind of trajectory that Brock Purdy did it out of
Yeah,
Iowa State and
he
now at
could.
Penn State for Rocco Becht.
He could. Hey, speaking of quarterbacks out of Penn State, before we get into
Hmm.
some trades, so yeah, for the Niners, I hope they go offensive line. To me, that is the biggest need. They
Yep,
could go defensive end. They better not go receivers. You could get
yep,
a receiver in the second round. You could get a receiver in the third round. You just
yep.
brought in Mike Evans. They better not draft a receiver in the first round because if they do, I'm literally going to get on the phone, call John Lynch, and scream at him until he begs for
Yeah,
mercy.
I think that's malpractice, and unless
Yeah,
somebody completely falls, and that would be a red flag. Let's say Tyson fell. I mean, because of
right.
his injury history,
Yeah,
that's got to
that's
be major red flag city. If Tyson is available at
pretty much.
27,
Yeah,
I think Tate won't be. I don't think Cooper will be. Um, if one of those guys gets down to 27, there's a problem.
yeah.
So
I've got to agree with you on that one. So better not. If you go defensive end, okay, fine, I get it, but I want him to go offensive line.
fair enough.
I'm on
Fair
the
enough.
record saying that.
So trades.
All right, Cowboys. A lot of rumors about them.
Who do you?
If the
Well,
Cowboys decide to trade up to get a guy like Sonny Styles, who do you think they trade with? I have a team in mind, but who do you think, if you want to get a guy like Sonny Styles, who I think they're looking for, who do you trade with in the top 10 to position yourself to possibly get Sonny Styles?
Oh God.
A team
Let's
that has
see.
multiple needs. That's the only hit I'll give you. But
Team has multiple needs. Honestly, I think it might be a little rich, but they do have two first round draft picks, the Cowboys, to trade.
mhm.
And the first one is where at 12,
Yes.
and I think they're 12 and maybe 20 or um,
Yeah, let me look.
let's see where Dallas
20. Yeah,
is.
they're 12. They're 12. For what it's worth, they've had number 20. They stick where they are. I have CJ Allen going to the Cowboys at number 20. He'll fill
Yep.
the linebacker void for the Cowboys. Nice player. He's not the best linebacker of the draft. That's Sonny Styles. But I have CJ Allen mocked to the Cowboys at number 20 if they stay there.
Yeah, let's see. Um, Dallas could probably also go if he's still there with the safety out of Oregon, Thieneman. Um,
Hmm.
that would be a
But
coup.
again,
They can go with a cornerback out of San Diego State, Chris Johnson.
hmm
Um,
yeah,
at a tw Honestly, and I guess I'll be bold here. I think they want their pick of any of the top talent, whether it's Downs, Love, uh, or Styles. I say
right.
they trade both picks to the Arizona Cardinals for number three.
That could happen. That's a legitimate
Because
pick.
that
But the
what that
team
does,
I was,
I've heard Arizona wants to move out. It gives them two first round picks, and it gives them some breathing room to take Ty Simpson with that 20th pick.
do you sacrifice two first round picks for Sonny Styles to go to number three?
I
Would
think
you
it's a
do that
little rich, but we're talking about we're
if you're
talking
Jerry
about
Jones, you're the general
we're
manager of the Cowboys, are you giving up two number ones to get to number three to get Sonny
to
Styles?
go from 12 to 3. That's what you're going to have to give up anyway. You're
Why
going to
I realize that, but do you actually do that? I know what you have to do,
I
but are you
I
willing to do
wouldn't,
what you have to do?
if you're making a move like that, I say you
Mhm.
don't do that unless you want a franchise quarterback, a la what, and I know it didn't work out, and this is not a shot at the Niners, what the Niners did for Trey Lance.
Well, no,
To,
you can take a shot at the Niners all you want about Trey Lance because I would join you in that. Actually,
you know, um,
that was terrible
but
to do that for a guy that was relatively
yeah, well, yeah,
unproven. So
it,
I'm
it
with you.
happens. I mean,
Yeah.
the draft is not an exact
Yeah.
science.
Thank God they got Brock Purdy in that same draft, by the way.
Yeah.
That saved John Lynch and Kyle
It,
Shanahan's
well, it,
ass,
it,
if you
it
ask
happened with
me. So
Washington. Now, granted, they never really won anything, but
Kirk Cousins
they took
yeah,
RG3 and Kirk
RG3
Cousins in
and
the
Kirk
same
Cousins
draft,
actually in the same
round
draft.
one
Yeah.
and round four.
Yeah. Yep.
So
That's true.
it worked out. Um,
Sometimes it
that's a little
does.
rich for me, but who knows if Jerry Jones fell in love with Jeremiah Love? I mean, who the hell knows with it? Jerry Jones is just a weird guy, and what he wants headlines, and the number one running
Certainly that
back,
would be a headline if he trades
you
up to
know.
number three.
So I think that's a little steep for the Cowboys. I don't know who else they trade
Mhm.
with. I don't know who else is looking to trade back. I think you're dealing with the same thing at 4. Does New Orleans want to trade back? I think,
Mhm.
I don't think Kansas City, does Cleveland want to trade back?
Well,
Um,
actually, I
Go ahead.
think if you're the Cowboys and you want to get Sonny Styles, I don't think you have to go up to number three. I think you could go to number six with Cleveland. That's the team I was referring to because I think Cleveland needs offensive line help, wide receiver help, maybe a running back. I think they need a lot of help over there. I think Cleveland trading down, they get a couple of more picks to really round out the offense with some skill position players and offensive linemen, some depth over there, adding to the defense.
Yep.
And you got a defensive-minded head coach over there, and Todd Monken, who's a questionable hire as a head coach, but he's still an offensive-minded coach. So I think Cleveland trading down with Dallas. Dallas could trade to number six, get City Styles. Cleveland gets to fill more needs with more draft picks on the offensive side of the ball. More importantly, if you're the Cowboys, you leapfrog your division rival Commanders, and you get City Styles before they can. That's the team I
And I
was
think
thinking
that's what
about.
they're looking at, which is why I think they'd consider going to number 3. I think they want to get ahead of both the Giants and the Commanders.
Could be.
Um,
Yeah,
if the
that's
right
fair.
deal is there,
Yeah.
which is why, I'm not sure Tennessee does that move.
Hmm.
I think Tennessee needs an impact player, and they shouldn't be waiting until 12 at the earliest to do it. Um, So I would put the sweet spot either in Arizona if, and that's a little steep, but I think you make a great point. They could trade with Cleveland. So Cleveland can get more picks.
Yeah. And they can address their wide receiver room, their offensive line room, and try to build an offense that Tom Monken's able to coach, knowing he's got a good defense in tow already. Although, let me ask you this: talking about not draft-related trades, but trades that are being speculated upon. A lot of smoke around AJ Brown, possibly no
Yep.
longer being an Eagle after June 1st. A lot of smoke around Myles Garrett as well, the Defensive Player of the Year for the Cleveland Browns.
Yep.
Do you think he gets traded after June 1st from the Browns?
No, I think he gets traded next offseason.
Uh-huh.
Because I really think that he's not happy, a la Dexter Lawrence. He's been doing a
Yeah.
lot of losing in Cleveland.
Hmm.
We'll see how it works with this head coach. Now, with this head coach, it was one thing to bring in Monken, who has no experience. He might be a great
Right.
head coach, but he's on the
Could
older
be.
side. I think he's like 57 years old,
He's
58
got a
years
good
old.
offensive mind, save
He
for the brain
does.
fart in the AFC
But I
Championship game
think
against
I
Kansas
think the
City a
fact
couple
that it
years
fell
ago.
apart with
So,
Jim Schwartz
yeah.
rubbed a lot of those defenders the wrong way. Um, I think someone like Garrett wanted Jim Schwartz to get the job. Um, didn't
I thought he
happen.
was going to get the job,
I thought
actually.
so too because he
Cleveland,
was already in
obviously,
house.
Cleveland no side. Jed Schwartz is a little bit verbally
So,
aggressive, if you will, but a lot of football head coaches are. I don't
so
think it's
I,
much of a surprise.
I don't see that during the season. I think next year, where the 2027 draft is loaded,
Hmm.
not just quarterbacks, just across the board. Cleveland can really stock up for 2027 if they trade
Sure.
him in the offseason. So I think Myles Garrett will be in Cleveland this year. After this year, I think there's a good chance
Well,
Cleveland
that's
tries to
rough.
win the draft in 2027.
Hmm. And obviously, for the Browns, they'll be evaluating the quarterback room this year because
Well,
the
look at how many
quarterback class
quarterback. I
coming
mean,
out
even
next year is is going to
you
be
have Arch Manning, you have Julian Sayin, you have the kid out of Oregon. I forget
Dante
his name.
Moore. Dante
Yeah,
Moore, former
yeah,
UCLA Bruin, now an Oregon Duck,
yep.
Heisman Trophy
You
finalist.
you have a big, and we're just
Yeah.
naming a few. You have a big quarterback draft next year, a big. So if they were so inclined to make a move like the Giants just did, a blockbuster pre-draft trade, I could see Cleveland holding on to him for a year and doing the same thing, so they can get their choice of quarterbacks next year, whether or not they have the number one pick.
What do you think Drew Aller, your boy out of Penn State, goes?
I've said this and to our friend Norm. I see him in Los Angeles, obviously not in the top three rounds. Could I see him going in round 4 or 5 to Los Angeles to sit behind Stafford and learn under Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford? I think Drew
Yeah,
Allen makes a lot of sense to the Los Angeles Rams.
yeah, I would agree.
I'm not saying that precludes them from taking a quarterback next year, but
Right.
if you could have someone in the building to learn the system, a young quarterback, um, one thing Penn State never did, or they didn't do well, which was part of the reason for Aller's lack of success, with the exception of the tight end a few years ago, the one who went to the Colts. Um, they've never really gotten good wide receivers at Penn State. All of them went to Ohio State. I don't know, there's a lot of dirt coming out
Funny
of
how that
James
works.
Franklin now
Yeah.
that he's gone, but he never. Drew Aller was a 5-star recruit,
Hmm.
um, and he was never really given Ohio State type receivers. I mean, Ohio State has become wide receiver U, really. And Drew Aller never had any of that benefit. He had very mediocre 3-star receivers across the board. Um, I could see him going to the Rams. He's got good size, he's got good arm strength. Is he worthy of a top three draft pick? No, but I could definitely see him learning at the hand of Sean McVay and and Matthew Stafford to potentially be the quarterback in waiting of the Rams in next year, 2 years, whatever it is. What about you? Where do you see Drew Aller? You think he stays in Western Pennsylvania?
Yes, I think the Steelers would be interested in him, but I think he'd be better off going to the Rams. That
Yeah,
said, I think the Steelers, and maybe they'll bring in Ty Simpson too. Who knows? In round two, there's a lot of upside there, but he is a project. But how much could he learn from Aaron Rodgers? Certainly, as a quarterback, even if Aaron Rodgers doesn't talk to them, you could observe Aaron Rodgers and how he prepares, how he plays on the field, how he processes information. He's as good as anybody when it comes to that. So, yes, I can see Drew Aller being drafted by the Steelers in Western Pennsylvania. I think he'd be better off with the Rams personally, although as a 49ers fan, I should not root for that, obviously. So,
Yep.
so do I want him to go to Pittsburgh instead of the Rams? Yes, as a 49ers fan, but if I'm Drew Aller, I think he'd be better off with the Rams than in Pittsburgh because I just think the Rams have a better infrastructure, a better overall, even though I respect Pittsburgh as an organization immensely, especially when it comes to how they handle head coaches. I think the Rams have a better overall infrastructure, support system. I think Drew Aller would like it in California with the weather and everything. Coming from
Yep.
Pennsylvania, he would probably enjoy that part of it. So I
Yep.
think the Rams would be a better overall fit for Aller. That
Yep.
being said, could I see Pittsburgh taking Drew Aller as a succession plan? Absolutely. We'll see what happens.
Who do you think now the Steelers have the number 21 overall pick. I see them going someone like a wide receiver. Um, they do need playmakers in
Casey
Pittsburgh.
Concepcion, a
Yeah, I was
versatile
thinking
slot
him too.
receiver with good acceleration and separation skills. I have Pittsburgh selecting him as at 21, Casey
Yeah.
Concepcion.
You know who I could see going to Pittsburgh, who I think might do a good job there, whether it's second round, third round, whatever. Carson Beck.
Yeah, I think Carson Beck might. Well, do you go round two or round? Because obviously he's got a lot of championship experience, played a lot of games. He's not coming in as a project per se, like a Trey Lance or a
No.
Ty Simpson.
Yep.
He's got a lot of experience, but the question about him is that how badly does he want to be a professional football player? Kind of similar situation to Josh Rosen out of UCLA when he was drafted by Arizona.
Right.
We all saw how that turned out. Is Carson Beck really committed to being the best professional football player? Because if he is, a pick in round two or round three could be a
Yep.
good value pick for some team.
Well, and let's not forget. Let's give. I know he doesn't get the credit that he deserves. Mike
Hmm.
McCarthy's a hell of a quarterback coach.
He is. I
You
agree.
know, he,
I
he they
agree.
took Dak Prescott in
Yeah.
round four,
Yeah.
and he was a start. And granted, some of it had to do with injury to Romo at the time and all that stuff. But he turned him into a. Say what you want about Prescott in the play. He puts up numbers, and he's a very good quarterback, Dak
He is.
Prescott.
Yeah. I
You
agree.
know, um, and
That's why they
he
brought
developed
McCarthy in
Aaron
to develop
Rodgers.
a quarterback for the future. That's exactly
Now
why
Carson
Mike
Beck has
Tomlin
played in a
leaving
lot of big games
might have been the
at
best thing that
Georgia
happened for
and at
Pittsburgh for the
Miami.
quarterback position.
He's played against the kind of players he will see in the NFL,
Hmm.
playing in the SEC and playing at Miami. He's played against would be pro players. He's not coming from the Mountain West and nothing against the Mountain West, but you don't see week in and week out that kind of player that you're seeing in the SEC or
Yeah.
Big Ten, as it were. So I could see Carson Beck ending up there easily. Where do you think is the best fit for Ty Simpson? Arizona? The Jets?
Um, Arizona. Only because I think Mike Shula, who's taken over there as head coach, offensive-minded head coach, studied under Sean McVay. We've seen Sean McVay assistants succeed elsewhere. You know, Kevin O'Connell, obviously in Minnesota, Matt LaFleur in Green Bay. All these guys are good with quarterbacks. So I think if Ty Simpson goes anywhere, if it's Arizona or the Jets, I'd pick Arizona every day of the week and twice on Sunday because of the coach who he studied under. Not to mention the head coaching position is in flux with the Jets right now with Eric Glenn. So
Yep.
if I'm Ty Simpson, I'd rather go to Arizona over the Jets. What about you?
Yeah, I think so. Even though I'm not sure well, they just got a new coach, so their situation they don't have Gannon anymore. They
Yeah.
have LaFleur, as you just said.
No, they have
Yeah, that
Shula.
that could work. I mean,
They have
LaFleur's an
Shula. Yeah.
offensive-minded guy. He came off the
Yeah.
McVay tree.
Right.
Um, so where does that leave the Jets? I have to think in one of the first three rounds, the Jets are taking a quarterback. Some that leaves them
You
with
know, you
with
know
with
what though?
Nussmeier.
Why do the Jets need to take a quarterback this year? Why can't they wait
They
they're not going to be
don't.
a playoff team next year. They're
They're
going to have a
not
high pick. It's a deep quarterback draft. Why do they have to draft a quarterback this year?
because
You have Geno Smith over there. You draft someone next year. Maybe Geno Smith is a table setter
well,
for him.
number one,
I
number
don't
two.
think they have to go for a quarterback this year.
Geno Smith's not a spring chicken. What happens if you need somebody
I'm
to
well
come in and play
aware of that, but
quarterback?
I mean, it's not going to be a playoff season for the Jets, anyways. Why do you have to draft a quarterback this year when you have a class coming in next year you're probably going to be able to take advantage of in terms of draft
You
position?
probably will. And in the next 2 years, they have five first round picks. I think they have
There
three
you
first
go.
rounders next year.
Yeah.
Three
They can
first
trade up
rounders
too
next
if they
year.
want to get somebody.
So yes, you are right that the Jets could and probably should wait to get their signal caller for
Build
next
the
year, whether it's Manning
infrastructure.
or Sayan
Yeah.
or Moore
Yeah.
or whomever. Um, but I don't think there's any harm in grooming someone just in case. You know,
Maybe not.
um,
Yeah.
was there a need at the time for the Niners to draft Brock Purdy? No, probably not. But they did.
Yeah.
And look what happened. I'm not saying that Garrett Nussmeier or Simpson or Beck or Aller are going to be Brock Purdy, but you
I kind
could
of like
find a
Nussmeier
competent
actually.
backup
I think
for,
Nussmeier could work with the Jets in
you
terms of
know,
arm strength.
he's not going to be expected to play. He might not see the field at all this year, but
Yeah.
it gets him pro experience for next year.
Right.
Um, I think the Jets are going to draft a quarterback. The question is where and who. I think it will be one of those top five. Anybody not
Third
named
round maybe.
Mendoza.
You know.
You know, Mendoza is the only one I think is off the board for the Jets. I
Hmm.
don't think Aller's a real possibility. I think Aller needs a right kind of situation, and I don't know if I mean, look, Frank Reich is a good offensive coordinator. I think Aller would be better used in a different offensive system, like LA,
Right.
um, or Pittsburgh with Mike
Right.
McCarthy.
Sure.
But I do think the Jets do draft a quarterback of some, who knows? Maybe they wait until the sixth round to take Cade Klubnik, you know.
Yeah.
So who knows? Now, we were talking about trades. The Kansas City Chiefs have been rumored to want to move up in the draft. Who do you think they might want, and who do you think they might target to move up with
I haven't
in
really
terms of
thought
a
of
partner?
I haven't really thought about this to be honest with you, but we're talking about
I mean, do
when's
they
the
want an
next
offensive
pick?
lineman? Do they want a defensive lineman? Do they
Yeah,
want
no,
another
I
wide receiver?
yes, yes, yes.
You know,
An offensive lineman, who could they trade with? Probably not the Chargers.
I think they want to move up, not down.
No, yeah. Well, where are they at right? Where's their second round pick?
9. No, no, I think
Oh,
they
you're
want to
talking
move
about
up from
moving up
9.
from number nine. You're talking about moving up from number nine?
That's been a rumor that they want to move up from 9.
Ah, well, they could trade with Cleveland. I think Cleveland, Arizona. Cleveland is going to be a little bit cheaper. If they're looking for an offensive lineman, you could get one at number six. It's just who they're going to take at that spot. Would they take Ione that high or Maui Goa? They're going to look for a tackle to replace Jawan Taylor. Was he the left tackle, the right tackle? I think it was the right tackle.
I think he was the right tackle as well.
Yeah, so they could trade up
They lost their
and
guard in Wyatt
get
Teller.
someone like Francis Mauigoa at number six if they trade up with Cleveland. So if they want to trade up from with nine, I think their best teams to possibly trade up with are either Arizona at number three or or the Browns at number six. And at number six, they could get the top offensive lineman, the top right tackle in the draft because I don't think any offensive tackles are any offensive line are being taken until picks 10 through 15. So if you're looking to trade up to secure the offensive lineman that you want, you could go to Cleveland at number six. And Cleveland, I'm sure, will be happy to trade down. They'd still be at number nine, but they get another draft pick out of it. So I think their most likely partner in terms of the price for Kansas City, but the opportunity for Cleveland would be trading up with Cleveland to go to number six. What about you?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I don't even know how much the smoke is real with them wanting to
Yeah, that's
trade,
interesting, though.
you know. So
I
who
think they
knows?
have. Do they have two first round picks?
Who? Kansas City? Yes, they do. I think
Yeah, so I mean,
they have
why
9
trade
and
up at
maybe
all?
like
You get a
29 or
good
something like
cornerback at
that.
number nine with Delane, and you could always draft an offensive lineman later in the first round. I think it's a deep enough draft for that. I don't think they need to trade up at all. I think they could stay right where they are and have a quality draft anyways, in which they get a defensive back and an offensive lineman that Andy Reid could use.
Yeah, you know, so we'll see. It's I think they could trade up. I think they're a little less likely to.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't think they need to,
so
but
apparently Dexter Lawrence has passed his physical. The trade is official. Uh, Dexter Lawrence has signed an extension with the Cincinnati Bengals. The
Hmm.
Giants now officially have the number 10 pick in the draft.
Yeah.
Um, so Thursday night's going to be a hell of a night.
Congratulations.
So,
That's a huge move, and we'll see what the Giants do with the number 10 pick. It's going to be
like you
interesting,
said, it
and the
could be
number
a win
5
for
pick
all
for that matter.
involved. It could
Yeah.
maybe, and I've said this before: changes in latitudes, changes in attitudes. To quote the late great Jimmy Buffett. Maybe that's all he needed.
Maybe
Maybe he just
so.
got sick of the losing in New York, which is all
He
he's
could be
ever
a
done.
hero in Cincinnati. Think about the
Oh, they'll build a
opportunity
statue
that
for
he
him.
could
That
go to
defense turned it around.
Cincinnati, get that defense going in the right direction, and he will be, I don't want to say deified, that's a little bit too strong, but he will be very admired in Cincinnati if he could get that defense going in the right direction again.
Yep. But
So
the
it's a
trade is
great
official.
opportunity for him, and it's
He
an
did
opportunity
sign
for
an
the Giants as
extension.
well.
So,
I want
you
to
know,
ask you about Diana Rossini, Mike Vrabel. Diana Rossini has resigned
yep,
from The Athletic, which is sad. I really enjoy her stuff. I'm a fan of The Athletic. I'm a fan of Diana Rossini's content. She's
yep,
contributed to The Athletic for a while now, but she steps down
yep.
amidst the situation with Mike Vrabel. The NFL has determined that they are not going to discipline Mike Vrabel. I think they should in some way, shape, or form. What about you?
Well, here's the thing. There have been reports of this, and we've all talked about it. And I think Rossini was the one to break it about the AJ Brown to New England deal, post June
Hmm.
1st or not.
Right.
Um, you know, is New England looking at tampering? Uh, if Vrabel's
That's a
talking
good
about that,
point.
uh,
That is a
could,
very, very good. Now, well, okay. So as far as tampering, you could do that in the legal tampering period with
but
free
he's not a
agents,
free agent.
but technically AJ Brown's not a free agent, so
He's
that's
under
a very
contract with
good
Philly.
point. That's a very good point.
So, that has to be looked at.
Yeah,
Look, we said there's a
absolutely.
double standard. I understand why some reporters, especially female, have a problem with this. If,
Hmm.
and this is a big if,
Right.
Diana Rossini was stepping out of her marriage, and that aided her in doing her job, I could understand why other people have a problem with it. But
Hmm.
I think other reporters have to look for skeletons in their own closet. Um, there's a
Yeah.
rumor out there that Fox Sports is about to make Rossini a very handsome offer. I don't think Rossini will be down for good. I think she'll be
No, she'll be
back.
back. She's too good at what
There,
she
there's a
does
lot
to be
there's a lot of
down for
smoke around
long. This
Fox
is just gonna
Sports,
blow over. That
you know.
someone's
But
gonna bring her on. I'll tell you that
look,
right now.
we don't know what goes on inside people's homes, whether it's Mike Vrabel's home or Diana Rossini's home.
Right.
What two adults do, well, I might not agree with it morally because I wouldn't step out on my marriage.
Right.
Um, I don't know what their home lives are like. I don't know what their marriages are like. What two consenting adults do, it's not the crime of the century, okay? I
No.
think it's a little bit overblown.
Oh,
Um,
no.
uh,
But everything in the NFL is overblown because it's the
It is, and
NFL.
I think they were dumb to do it the way they did it. Like I
Right.
said, we all saw the Coldplay concert with the
Right.
CEO and some chief
It's
of
a
human
great
resources
comparison, by
doing
the
what,
way, when you brought it up
I mean,
last week. Yeah.
if you're going to do that, and I said it last week, there's a right way to do the wrong thing. Don't do that. I mean, come on. At the damn owners meetings, whether that was innocent or not, it didn't look, I have female friends. We don't embrace like that. Um, but they could have been smarter about the whole thing.
Yeah.
Rossini will land on her feet, so it's
Absolutely.
unfortunate, but it's unfortunate for her. I don't think the Patriots will pay any kind of a price. But look, what are your thoughts on the Rossini deal?
I think her stepping down is interesting in that if you didn't do anything wrong, why step down? But she talked about the effect on her family. So it seems like she's going to take some time off and maybe so if she's stepping down for family reasons, I could understand that, but I think it's interesting that she's stepping down because I'm not sure she was forced to step down by the Athletic, from what
Yep.
I could tell. So I find that to be a little bit
Well, the
interesting.
New York Times was doing an investigative. The New York Times
Right.
apparently owns the Athletic and runs
Yes,
the
they do.
Athletic.
Yep.
So I guess they were investigating this. So I don't know
Yeah.
whether she wanted to get out front or didn't want to prolong this anymore.
Yeah.
Now she doesn't have to comply with any investigation that they're doing
Right.
theoretically.
Right.
So she can
Because
get
she's
a
not
fresh start,
affiliated with them anymore. Yeah, I
and
found that
somebody
interesting.
will bring her
It
on.
could be a smart move on her part, but I found it interesting that she was willing to step down, citing, it's been hard on her, it's been hard on her family, which I understand, but also could indicate that she knows that she did something wrong. It's going to be something that she's going to have to learn from, obviously. So, in
And
terms of
look,
Mike,
whether
in
it's
terms of Mike Vrabel, I think Mike Vrabel, if you're going to hold the players accountable for their character, you have to hold the coaches accountable as well. I
right,
think he
you
has to
do.
learn from this
Yeah.
also, and somehow either the Patriots or the NFL has got to send a message that regarding that we hold the players to a standard, the coaches, the general managers, everybody has to be held to the same standard to
Yeah,
keep it
but the,
fair.
the NFL just doesn't want to do that. Look at the whole thing with Steve Tisch. I mean,
Hmm.
he did this stupid thing where he put it in trust for his kids, and he's not officially the owner, but he's the trustee. He still controls. I mean,
Right.
it was just lipstick on a pig. The NFL didn't want to do anything to the Giants.
I know.
For a guy supposedly in league with Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah.
So the NFL they're not the best moral police out there.
No,
You know.
definitely
Um,
not.
so I think the NFL wants it just to go away. I don't think the NFL wants to deal with it. I don't think they wanted to deal with Steve Tisch, which is why they didn't. And now this whole deal with Tisch now officially not being the owner, his kids are the owners, suppose, but have no voting power. Steve Tisch still does,
Yeah.
but so go figure that out.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
I just don't think the NFL wants to be involved.
Perhaps
Um,
not. Let's get into man crush and knucklehead of the
okay,
week. Before we get into our final comments, who is your man crush and knuckleheads of the
for the
week, Jack?
second time in about 6 weeks, my man crush is John Harbaugh. Pardon my French. He's not effing around. You don't want to be in my locker room. You're gone. No matter what you think personally of Dexter Lawrence or how he handled or his agent Siegel handled this whole situation, they tried to make it work. They tried to give him a bump in pay. It didn't work. He wanted out. John Harbaugh got a haul that impressed most people in the NFL for getting the number 10 pick for a 29-year-old defensive tackle off a terrible year. Um, so John Harbaugh and Donna Ponte, I guess, but and Joe Shane, the management structure of the Giants for what they just did. Now they got to go out and nail the draft for what they just did. Kudos to the New York Giants brain trust for not letting this get ugly or uglier. Now he's gone. He's out of the division. He's out of the conference. Enjoy the NFC North, Dex. AFC North. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Your man crush.
Luke Kennard, Lakers,
Okay.
last night in a big win against the Houston Rockets in game one, who missed Kevin Durant, but the Lakers didn't have Luka Doncic or Austin Reeves. So Luke Kennard came in and did the Luka, as they say, 27 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 5 of 5 from the 3-point line. That's 5 of 5, 100%.
Yep.
Great acquisition by Rob Pelinka midseason. Luke Kennard is my man crush of the week.
Yep.
Your knucklehead of the week is who, Jack?
I'm a day late and a dollar short with this, but my knucklehead of the week is the University of North Carolina. Let me tell you something. The University of North Carolina is a big deal. We all know that.
Hmm.
Michael Jordan,
Particularly
Lawrence Taylor,
basketball. Yeah.
Drake May, they're you stupid sons of bitches didn't learn lesson the first time by bringing Bill Belichick down there. How did that work out? It's a dog
We're
and
not
pony
hearing a
show with
lot from Bill Belichick these days, are we?
well, yeah, he got humbled last season. He's not a
Big
college coach;
time.
he's a pro coach. You guys, so what did you guys do? You guys went and did the same damn thing. You brought in a guy who was a very good NBA head coach, but there were rumors in Denver he didn't get along with the younger players. So what does the University of North Carolina do? They turn around and they hire Mike Malone to run their damn basketball program. What are you guys? You guys didn't learn your lesson from the whole Belichick thing? I mean, is Mike Malone a college coach? Can he do it?
I
Uh,
guess we're going to find out. I think it's a good idea in theory. I
but
get why they would want to bring
why
in
not bring in the
An
guy? And I'm
NBA
just throwing
guy
out
who
a
won a
name here.
championship, but we'll
Why
see.
not bring in a guy from High Point? You know,
Yeah,
a
I
guy
agree.
who knows. There were probably 15 coaches who would have taken that job. Now, the big ones didn't want to go down. No, they didn't get Hurley. They didn't get, I don't know who the hell, Dusty May. Okay, that's the creme de la creme. But you could have gotten a really the best mid-major coach out there, and he probably could have done a good job. Especially if you were going to step outside the North Carolina family, which is another thing that's annoying that they do. That everybody has to be tied to. How do you think Hubert Davis got the job? But just dumb. I mean, why are you? This is North Carolina Tar Heels basketball, and you're going on hope that Mike Malone can transition into a college head coach. Come on now, you're North Carolina. You're better than that. Knuckleheads. They
Hmm.
didn't learn.
Well, my knucklehead of the week is a couple knuckleheads. Got to go with Mike Vrabel and Diana Rossini, just
Yep.
picking the wrong place, the NFL owners meeting by which to have pictures taken of them. You know you're going to be followed. You know TMZ is going to be all over a place like that. With a bunch of powerful people, especially the NFL, get together to talk business, to talk league business and team business and whatever type of business they might be talking about. You have to know the cameras are on you and you have to conduct yourself accordingly. Do what you want to do, obviously, but maybe do it behind closed doors, and hopefully not compromise your morals in the process. But again, they got caught, and ultimately they got caught in a place where they have to know that the cameras and the paparazzi were going to be showing up because when powerful people get together, the
Yep.
paparazzi is going to want to be there to try to find something that they could
Yep.
sell their newspapers and their content for.
Absolutely.
So Mike Vrabel, Diana Rossini, combined knuckleheads of the week. Final comments. Go ahead, Jack.
This is a fun week. We have the NBA playoffs, starting. My Knicks looked good last night. Look, I've crapped a lot all over Mike Brown. This is the healthiest this Knicks team has ever been going into the playoffs, and it showed last night. Um, let's hope they can keep it rolling. I do think that they will, they get at least a gentleman's sweep of Atlanta, and then it's Boston's turn because I'm assuming Boston's going to move on as well over Toronto. I think they're playing. Are they playing Toronto or is that Cleveland's playing Toronto? I don't know who the hell Boston's playing. Maybe Boston's playing Philly. I don't know. But enjoy this week, and then it's really, yes, the NBA playoffs are here, and it's something we can talk about. The hockey playoffs are here. We can enjoy that. Baseball has started, but that's probably going to be backburnered for a while. This is NFL week. It's something that all teams, renew their hope. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania is going to be the center of the universe, the center of the sporting universe in the United States this week. So let's enjoy the draft, and let's hope our teams make smart decisions.
Absolutely. They're playing the Sixers, by the way, to answer your question. So you were
Yep.
right about that. My final comment is same old Yankees.
Oh,
If
God.
only the Yankees, and I alluded to this earlier in the show, if only the Yankees could play the American League Central exclusively during the regular season, they might go undefeated. 162-0 if they could play the American League Central. Unfortunately, that's not the case. They also have to play against the American League East, their home division, the American League West, where they sometimes struggle, particularly when it comes to traveling out to the West Coast. They dominate the American League Central. They're currently dominating the Royals again, like they did a couple of years ago when they beat the Royals in the League Division Series, then
Yep.
beat the Guardians in the League Championship Series, then went to the World Series and lost to the Dodgers, the NFC West team. Can they do as well against West and East teams in either league as well as they do against Central teams in both leagues? They play pretty well against the National League Central. Certainly, they are dominant against the American League Central. Can we translate that to the American League East and the American League West, the National League East, and the National League West? Could we please, pretty please? Is that too much to ask? Because if you do, now that World Series number 28 doesn't seem so elusive. So, Yankees, pick it up because so far you're 0-3 in the American League East. Yes, it's early, granted. They could get better, but so far this season, it
We'll
feels
find out this week.
same old Yankees to me. Let's see if they can
We
improve. And it would begin with winning games within your own damn division. And with
we go to
that,
Fenway Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So we'll
there you
find out.
go. Great opportunity there against the rival.
Yep.
And that will close up the living room as we head out to the day. Jack, what are you doing today?
It's a day of rest. It's been a long week of work. I'm doing as little as possible. It's kind of a rainy, gloomy day here in Connecticut.
No.
Um, not exactly, it's supposed to get very cold later. So, I'm going to shower, shave, and, we'll see. Maybe I'll take my wife out for lunch.
I'm gonna go wine tasting with a new friend and enjoy some
Uh,
tasty wine here in
Welcome back from
Southern
wine country.
California.
I'm assuming you had a good time.
Had a great time. Had an awesome time up at Sonoma Napa, that Highway 29 trail,
Yep.
the Well, it's not the Silverado Trail, it's Highway 29. The Silverado Trail is behind, but
Did you see the
wineries,
racetrack out
sequoia
there?
trees, incredible views, and just an immense sense of peace. When I've driven on that highway the two times that I have, it's just absolutely spectacular.
Did you drive by Sears Point at all?
No,
With the racetrack?
no.
Okay,
That was a little bit further away than where I was. That were mostly a
gotcha.
station between Petaluma, Sonoma, and the Napa Valley, so a little bit too far away. I
Yep.
did pick up gas in Richmond. I'd never been to Richmond before, and flew into Oakland that I hadn't floated to in a while. It's a nice airport. And I was happy to find a Sinclair gas station in Richmond, which is my new favorite gas station.
There you go.
Cheaper, but very good quality gas, but a little bit cheaper than the major brands like Chevron, Mobil, Exxon, and I use Arco as well. Arco and Sinclair are kind of my
Yep.
go-tos now for quality gas that is not as expensive as the other brands. But it was a great time up in wine country. Really
Good.
enjoyed it and
Good.
look forward to doing that today in Temecula. So
All
thank
right.
you for
So,
coming on the show again. That will
all
wrap
right.
up the Living Room
We'll talk during the
podcast.
week during the draft, I'm sure, constantly. So,
Absolutely. This is the Living Room Podcast, a die-hard sports radio production. For Jack Angelo, I'm Steve Itzkowitz, aka Speakeasy Steve, reminding you that every sporting event is time well spent. Enjoy the NFL draft. We'll be back next Sunday with reaction to the first round of the NFL draft. Have a good day, everybody. Be safe out there.